Hello, hello! Happy Sunday, everyone! Hi, Finny. Hi, Minnie. Okay. I did a little thing, and that's why I'm late today. I was like, no, I really wanna finish this before I start my stream, because otherwise it's gonna, it's gonna haunt my brain. I think I'm gonna post it on my Patreon. I was thinking about that little scene for a really long time to add to Pandemonium, right? Because I felt like I lacked a hook in my story. So it was just haunting me. And I was like, okay, no, I'm gonna sit down. The worst timing ever, by the way, right before stream. And I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna write it. And so here we are. So I sent you, it's like work in progress, right? But it's what I have so far. Considering that I'm not a writer, I think it's okay. It's okay, right? It's fine. It was clear. But I hope you guys have been doing well. I'm gonna go back and, I'm gonna make this a killer year. I'm gonna make sure that I hit all my goals. Be as productive as I can. Let me find chat. Maggie sus? Am I being sus? I don't think I'm being sus. If anything, I'm being far from being sus. I am the least sus person that I know. What do you mean? I sent a curse. I sent a curse. Yes, I had to add that last line because I wasn't sure, like, whether you would know that it was actually Pandemonium. Because obviously I've been very obsessed with the Lord of the Mysteries. I've been very much inspired by the Lord of the Mysteries, so I'm not surprised that you thought that. But it was perfect. If I'm allowed to be nagging, I wasn't well. Constant headaches were giving me. Oh no! Wait, do you have headaches frequently? Do you have medication to counter the headaches? I hope they'll pass soon. Yeah. And drink water. Yeah, drink lots of water. At least for me, when I have a headache, it's usually because I'm dehydrated and I just need to drink more water. But I doubt it's that simple in your case. Anyways, I hope you will feel well soon. It was evening appearing after work. Oh, maybe stress related, maybe. Oh yeah, I switched topics mid-sentence. Yeah, but I added that last line because I wasn't sure, like, whether you would know, because I think I told you about adding a hook to my prologue, but I didn't know if you still remembered, right? So if I were to drop it, I wasn't sure whether you would understand the context. I'm glad you did. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm all set up now. Sorry, I'm like all over the place. But yeah, I didn't do much last week. To be honest, every week has been kind of the same for me. I'm just working, and then I went back to office this week because all the snow has melted. So yeah, I'm going back to office now. And I just work. I make the best of my day and I work. While I try to motivate myself to, work on my own projects. I would eat it up even if Samuel cut out of Lord of Mysteries, knowing it would be to tempt me into reading it faster. Could I though? Oh! Alan! Welcome, happy Sunday! Thank you, thank you. I'm doing great. I made a little I wrote a little snippet of the prologue of Pandemonium because I was lacking a hook. So I made a little adjustment, so I'm very excited. And that's also why I was late today, because I really wanted to finish it before going live, because otherwise it was just gonna nag at me for the whole stream. You two went to bed on payments? No. But I'm glad you had a good sleep, like a great sleep. You deserve great sleep. Everyone deserves great sleep. Up here too, we're back to Sag rain winter again. I do like kind of the gloominess and the grayness of winter. I think it's one of my favorite parts. Yes, that part is the new hook. It's gonna go like in front of, you know, what I currently have for the prologue. I don't know if you remember, but we basically just jump in with Ara just sitting on a couch and Fanny coming in with her tea. So it starts very not exciting, right? There's no hook. There's you know, literally not really, like story-wise, there's not really a reason for people to keep reading unless they kind of already know the premise, or, you know, they know me and, you know, they just want to know. But I feel like I need a hook, you know, for people who don't know my work and people who don't know me. So yeah. Reread it a few weeks ago. Wait, The Lord of the Mysteries? What did you reread? You reread Pandemonium? Even I don't reread Pandemonium. I haven't looked at it in literal months. I think in at least half a year. Hi Gecko, happy Sunday. Welcome in. Welcome. I hope you had a lovely week and that you're having a lovely weekend and that you're not dying of a heat stroke and that everything is a-okay. I think I'm gonna review that little snippet I wrote just now, and then I'll very likely post it to my Patreon. And I was low-key thinking of just writing out the story first. Just write out the entire story, because what I have now is more like a script, right? It's like just the dialogue and just very briefly what happens. Whereas the piece I just wrote is more like in like a light novel style, right? Kind of what you have been writing so far, or what Minnie has been writing. Sorry. So I'm like, should I do it? Should I just, you know, make a novel out of it first, and then based on that novel, it should be easier for me to, you know, go back to the comic part, if that makes sense. But yeah, thoughts. To be honest, I don't know what the best course of action here would be. But, you know, I'm just trying stuff. It's fine. I know most of my followers are, like, they know me for my, like, illustrations and for Pandemonium, but I hope they don't mind, you know, some snippets of text. Just, you know, pieces of writing from me, because I do like it. But I also know that I am not practiced. I'm not, you know, I didn't study anything relevant. I'm just doing whatever, you know. It does help putting it into bullet points or actions or scene descriptions. Yeah, that's what I currently have. literally just a breakdown of everything that is happening, basically. And, you know, some scenes are a little bit more detailed because I want to put more emphasis on it. So it's there, but it's not, you know, it's not a nice read. It's not like reading a book, right? You're literally reading a script. And I was like, how neat would it be if I had like a novel first? Right? How cool would that be? And then if enough people like the novel, surely they will like the comic as well, right? Right? Question mark. But yeah. Like, while I do that on the side, I do find it very important for myself to at least finish Enter Ouroboros, because obviously I didn't make the deadline last year because I got so obsessed with the Lord of the Mysteries. Not that I regret it, but it does mean that I really, really want to finish this. I feel like I cannot call myself a comic artist until I have at least one finished work under my belt, right? I mean, people would argue that I'm already a comic artist because I am, you know, actively making a comic, but I feel like I disagree because it's not finished yet, right? Because when you say, or at least I think when you say that, you know, you're a comic artist, people would be like, oh, what have you written so far? And then you're like, oh, but it's not finished yet. So that I don't know, it feels a bit embarrassing as like, I don't know, am I worthy to call myself a comic artist at this point? So I guess I'm kind of rushing it, which is good. Is it good to rush things? I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. Hold on, wait, I'm behind on chat. How else am I gonna see my favorite snake? That's true. You don't get to see him in the novel. That is true. I could add some illustrations maybe. I saw that, I think I showed you from the Lord of the Mysteries, they also added like two very detailed illustrations. They're not many, I think just one per book, but it's still really cool to see. I may do something similar where I add an occasional page in between with just an illustration. That looks like fun. I would like to do that. Okay, I think I'm gonna go a bit more towards the yellow with this green because I thought it was too green. I thought the green is a bit too close to the green that I'm using for Ouroboros, so just a bit more. Then you get this like military color. I don't know if I like that. Wait, if I do it towards the blue instead, and then I will have Ouroboros a bit more towards the yellow, but then her hair color will probably really clash with the blue, with like the green that I choose. That is very green. Like a turquoise. I'm gonna try it. I guess share some. Wait, scenes of how it looks if you need reference or structure. I think you sent me one actually some years ago. Like the structure that you use to kind of plan your scenes. I'm not sure if it's the same one you're currently referring to. I learned first that writing novels is an entirely different medium. Yes, it is. Which is why I never touched it until now. Writing is probably equally as daunting as creating a comic. But the thing is with comics is that you kind of need the story already before you start the comic, right? It feels like an additional step to writing scripts. It is, but I guess novels is a more kind of easily digestible version of the script that I currently have. While I want to write, I also learned how much editing I need to fully flesh it out, so I've officially moved on to comics now. Really? While also testing the waters for 2D animation. Honestly, any branch of this, you know, whether comics or novels or light novels, is daunting, and it is a lot of work. I was also thinking about the new concept I came up with this week, but I just wrote it down. I just wrote down the premise, and I was like, no, I'm gonna leave this and just focus on what I want to get done first, which is, in this case, enter Ouroboros. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do just that. I think it's better to go towards the blue. It's still green, but it's more blue than green, so it's better in my book. 2D web novel. I mean, wait, 2D web novel. Wouldn't that basically be an illustrated novel? 2D animated. Oh, wait, that's cool. You can put it like in between the text rather than illustrations. You put like GIFs or GIFs. Whatever you call them. Animated bits. That could be really cool, but it would only work online, right? I would not be able to print it out and distribute it, you know, if people were interested in buying it, like buying a physical copy, I mean. It's changed a bit so I can send you an updated version. Okay. It's not that I don't want to write, but I'm not ready for the slow burn of writing / editing. Yeah, it's really daunting. Probably even the little snippet I have written now, it will probably be edited. It will probably be changed. But yeah. I want to write and then have it visualized. That was my kind of, I wouldn't say idea. That was my intention, yes, behind my comics, because I just wanted to write comics. I just wanted to draw. But if I want to draw comics, I need to write a story. Unless, you know, it's an existing story and, you know, the original writer would, you know, allow me to draw the comic version of it. But otherwise, I would have to come up with my own story first. Not that it's... how to say? Like, I like coming up with stories just as much as drawing, right? So it's not like I'm forcing myself to create stories just because I want to draw. That's not how this works. If anything, I think the storytelling part is a little bit more important to me, which is also why I've kind of been stagnating when it comes to my own illustrations, because I am no longer satisfied with the drawings that I make. Not necessarily like the skill, my skill's a different matter. I mean the concept and kind of the story behind the illustration. Right? And I want something more. I don't want something that is just nice to look at. I want something that, you know, tells a little story within that one image. I think people who are able to achieve that are super cool, and I want to do that too. I want to be cool too. Struggles of an artist. I wonder if non-artists in chat can relate. I actually have so many drawings that I have not posted to the internet for that very reason. the reason of, you know, kind of making pointless drawings. To say it bluntly, I wouldn't say it's pointless. Like, it serves a purpose for me, but then I don't find them intriguing enough to share them with the internet. I probably should, especially if it involves my patrons, right? I would assume that they are curious about everything that I make, otherwise they wouldn't be patrons. I'll need to update it again anytime soon. I've been thinking a lot about, you know, how I can divide my time better, how I can spend more time on creating. And it's tough. It's tough. And it's a little bit frustrating if you think about the fact that, you know, I'm able to push myself to, you know, get up and go do a 9 to 5 for 5 days a week. And then for some reason I cannot bring myself to do something that I enjoy doing. But then I do manage to go to work every single day. So it's like, how does that work? I do it because I have to. But I do it also when I feel like I don't have the energy to do it, right? So then, if lack of energy is not a reason for me to, like, is not a good reason for me to not do something, then I should be able to just sit down and work on my projects, right? Despite being tired or whatever. Anyways, I'm rambling. I'm rambling. I've been doing a lot of thinking, as you might have guessed. I'm just gonna try something new here actually, because I'm not familiar with coloring comics. So this is all super experimental, which is probably partly the reason why I have been procrastinating on this a bit, because I've not like properly visualized yet how I'm gonna tackle this project. But on the other hand, maybe it doesn't really matter. Contracted work carries many more risks. If you were to slack off, it's different from where you don't have any consequences for not doing something. Also, taking a full month off has been really nice so far. Lots of time to explore and get some things done. You've been taking a full month off? That's nice. I wish I could do that. I think I mentioned this before, but I always get like a little bit down in the first month of the year, because it means that I need to work for another full year before I get a little bit of time off. And that thought alone is exhausting to me. But yeah, it is largely because of the kind of the responsibilities and the consequences, right? I can't afford to get fired, and at least in my line of work, even working from home, you know, even if people aren't actively monitoring me, if I don't do my work, people will immediately find out. Because it directly reflects in the numbers. It directly reflects in the customer's behavior, you know? And I have a reputation to uphold. But similarly, I have a reputation to uphold online, right? My reputation as an artist. So I want to be able to kind of bring myself to start working on my own projects despite feeling tired. Because I think in the end, like, I'm not trying to burn myself out, obviously. I've done that before, I'm not doing that again. But, I mean, I feel like if I do this despite feeling tired, it will actually help me because drawing is something that gives me energy. So it should actually counter the burnout, if you think about it. That makes sense. I was burnt, I had to stack on the brakes. Oh, I see. Christmas, December is the worst time of year for me. For me... It depends on how you look at it, I suppose. Like December... November, December are like the busiest month for me, both work-wise but also in private, like my private life. There's just a lot happening in those months. But it is also the time where I get that little snippet of, you know, time for myself before the new year begins. So I'm actually always looking forward to it. It's also the time where I get really excited about my goals and where I start to feel motivated to do stuff and kind of turn things around for the new year. But obviously, you know, I try, but I fail. Won't stop me from trying though. But yeah. I think I just need to find my rhythm. And then stick to it. I guess the one thing that I would have to sacrifice is my game time. Am I willing to give up my games to be more productive? Because let's be real, it's easier to start up a game after a long day of work than it is to start up, you know, this drawing software and to start drawing. Oh, let me finish my coffee before it gets cold. I spend more time on fiddling with silly stuff mostly. Pixiv, their Funbox features, and Xfolio now too. All pretty decent, very simple to manage compared to Western option at least. I can't think of any good Western options now with the current developments. Put it that way. I said last week, was it last week? I think it was last week when you mentioned it as well about Pixiv, about returning to Pixiv. Because you mentioned you had saved some of the Lord of the Mysteries art there. And I wanted to see. But I think before that I just, you know, to avoid focusing on too many things at the same time, I think I'm just gonna focus on writing for now, just revising the script I have for Pandemonium. So first to, you know, finish Ouroboros, because it's basically already in the art phase, right? And then to hopefully focus myself on the revised script of Pandemonium. I have here some questionable anatomy of the character I'm currently working on. And I didn't finish the line art, but that's because I knew that I was gonna cover this area with the grass, the tall grass. So I did not put that in. I'm gonna paint over it and then kind of cover the annoying areas. It's a little hack, a little cheat. I at least use Pixip for fan art only, keep as a place for fun fandom gushing. I wanted to go back to making fan art, or actually start again, rather. But I think currently my own projects are more important to me. And especially with me being stumped right now regarding my own illustrations, I think I'll refrain from posting them anytime soon. I may do a little compilation on Patreon to just kind of show that I'm still alive and I'm still drawing, but I'm just not posting a lot of the sketches that I've been making. Like, it's mostly sketches. I just draw something and then usually I don't finish them. I usually just draw for the sake of drawing. Also because I heard Exfolia is more for professional stuff, so I'm testing that for my original stuff. Oh, I see. But like really, like ArtStation? Kind of, so you have a lot of industry professionals there showcasing their work, or is it more casual? In Vibe, yeah, it feels like that level, but their own description is kind of like a DeviantArt / Patreon. Interesting, okay. Right now I am very hesitant on, you know, creating new accounts on different platforms because I know I'm just gonna forget about it. You have art on display like a website, but retain options and features for a community like Patreon. Is it linked to Patreon, or is it its own separate feature like the fan box? Oh, they have their own membership features, I see. I think for fans as well, I think... Not just for fans, actually, for myself as well, I think it's easier to have all kind of paying options in the same place as much as possible. Just for the overview, I think I would go crazy if I would have like too many, you know, too many platforms that people could kind of subscribe to. I have 2 now currently, and that's already a lot for me. Twitch and Patreon. Well, I do have other accounts, I don't really earn anything there. Anyways, not that it matters. I'm grateful to receive like any support in any shape, way, or form. especially thankful to people here who have been kind of hanging around ever since the beginning and never gave up on me. I think WordPress with membership is a more accurate description, but Exfolia also has the whole search and open display of other artists, so that's where the DA vibe steps in. Oh, interesting. I remember from my DeviantArt days, I spent a lot of time there in like groups. There were a lot of kind of fantasy and role-playing groups back in the day. And I would participate. It's crazy. I really liked it. But most of them are gone now. I really like that because it was just so much more focused on community. I don't really see anything similar to that, or at least I have not yet seen anything similar to that. Still torn on the colors that I gave Nessa here. I'm thinking of maybe just giving her the same color outfits as Falco. That would just make it easier. Just give both of them the same colors. But I don't know if that's gonna be confusing later on. Anyways, I still have room to change it later if I really want to. We can follow and like each other's stuff too. Oh, it's just lacking a bit of translation from JP to EN for global users. I think it's like that for CN and a few other languages too. Oh, so it's originally Japanese then? Actually, I think I may just desaturate her colors, cause she sticks out like a grasshopper in that outfit with the current colors. See what that looks like in a second once I'm done with him. They use a translator that goes on top, oh, like Google Translate, rather than have it a solid EN version. I see, meaning some errors text won't translate. I see. Mainly in JP, but with their own translation feature. I assume that most of its users are Japanese as well. Xfolio. Never heard of Xfolio before. Reminds me of the X-Men. Except it's not X-Men. It's like X-Men but for artists, you know? Flash Bites! Welcome, happy Sunday! Welcome in. I'm doing great. I just wrote a little snippet of Pandemonium. Even though I'm no writer, I wanted to try it. I think I'm quite happy with it. I'll review it again after the stream and then probably post it to my Patreon. Because I think my fans will be curious. And it's not really a spoiler, I'm just adding like a little... I'm adding one scene to the start of the prologue as a hook. Because I needed a hook. I didn't have a hook at the time. You know, the me, what was it, 8 years ago? The me 8 years ago was still very, very inexperienced when it came to writing stories. So I didn't have a hook. And considering that, I was actually really surprised that I managed to pull in readers at all because the prologue was so boring. So boring. Nothing happened until the very end. I just don't believe how people liked it and managed to read the whole thing. It'll be interesting. I'm excited. But yeah, first things first. I need to lock in and finish this one here I have in front of me. Once that's done, I'm gonna go back and focus on the script for Pandemonium because I wanted to change some things, particularly change some the way I give information to the reader to hopefully make it a more interesting read. And I also told myself that I need to, you know, that I don't need to explain everything, right? My readers are smart. The people who read my stories, they're so smart. They figure things out on their own very quickly. I don't need to explain most of the things actually, but me being all meticulous, I feel like I tend to explain things when I don't really have to, right? So I'm gonna address that. I'm gonna address all of that. And then bring a better version of Pandemonium to the world. Oh my gosh, a watch streak. Thank you! Thank you, Flash Plays. Oh my gosh. All the streaks. I will also try to keep up my own streak of streaming every Sunday, as I have been doing for the past 3 years? How long have I been streaming? Almost 4, I think. Around my birthday, it will be my 4th year of streaming. I'm happy with my little community here. Whoa. Okay, I created an account 8.5 years ago, but I didn't immediately start streaming 8.5 years ago. There were 2. Okay, so I need to rephrase. The time I have been streaming as a VTuber. That started almost 4 years ago. Before that, I did do some streams, I think. I don't know if Flash remembers. I know for sure Minnie was already there at the time, so I was still streaming on my little old laptop. I didn't have a proper mic. I was using the built-in mic of my laptop, and and there was no camera, right? It was just me sharing my screen and just drawing while chatting with chat, right? So I did that for a little bit. I don't remember you other than as a VTuber. I see. Okay. Hi Scotty, happy Sunday. We are now talking about how long I've been streaming now. As a VTuber specifically, because I believe it's been almost 4 years. Around my birthday, it will be almost 4 years. I did get a Columbina. I'm happy. I tried to get her weapon as well. Overall, the pulling process for both Columbina and her weapon have been so painful. I haven't gotten her weapon yet. So first of all, sorry, I need to rant to Scotty. First of all, I lost the 50-50. I lost the 50-50 to Mona, and I got Mona at like my 74th pull or something. So I was like, no, I need to get Columbina. I have saved up enough gems to do this, right? So I kept pulling, and then on the 75th pull, I finally got Columbina, and then I was like, I kind of also want her weapon because I love her so much. She's great. And then I got some other random 5-star weapon. What's the sky bow thing? Something I don't use. And now I have a fate point, and I don't want to waste that fate point. So I am now scrambling. I'm sad, okay. It was so painful pulling for her, but I'm glad I have her. I'm glad I have her. I will get her weapon. I don't care how it happens. I will get her weapon before this banner ends. I just don't know how I'm gonna achieve it yet. Thankfully, there's a lot of areas that I have not explored yet. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna explore and get more primo gems, open chests. Hope that I get the weapon. Actually, I have a really good 4-star weapon alternative for her. But her actual weapon is just nicer. I usually don't pull in weapon banners at all. The last time I did was for my husband. And now it's for Columbina. Hold on, wait. I wanna take a closer look to the account ages I see here. Six years, 7 months. Ooh, wait, 6 years. We've known each other for at least 6 years, 7 months. But you can't see your own age. Oh, indeed. 1 year, 7 months, I see. Oh no. Minnie is younger than me? That's impossible. How ancient am I if Minnie is younger than me? That is wild. They're giving lots of primos this patch to have lots of free stuff. Yeah, but I feel like I need to work for it, right? I need to do the exploration. I need to, you know, do the story quests, do the world quests. It's a lot. I think Scotty has been here since the beginning. Since right before I debuted. If I'm not mistaken, I met Scotty first in Siu's stream. I don't know if you're still watching Siu. Or wait, she changed her name. Sorry, shit, I'm dead naming people. No! Oneraya. Yes. Not me dead naming people on stream. Ah, you know. You know. I've been scouring the new area for primos for Inefa pulls. Ooh, I liked Inefa, but I didn't like her enough to pull for her. I've been following Maggie almost as long as if I've been on this platform. It's almost as if you created a Twitch account just for me. You watch what you can? Nice, nice. Regrettably, I've not really been watching any other VTubers recently. Like none. Not even from the Corpo VTubers. Unless they are playing a game that I'm interested in watching. You know, in watching them play, I usually don't. Not sure what happened. I think I just ended up spending more times on playing games myself rather than watching streams. You just get busy sometimes, yeah. I feel like I've always been busy though. I feel like I can't catch a break unless, you know, it's the end of the year and the company gives me time off. And then again, it's not exactly giving because they will take away some of my, you know, free days for it. But like here, you have to take mandatory days off. I'm like, yeah, but what if I want to use those days for something else? They're like, no. No, you can't do that. We'll just subtract it. It is what it is. What to do? I still don't know if I want to do the same today during stream as last week where I switched to a game halfway through. Or if I just want to keep, you know, chatting or / drawing. I may actually keep drawing. Unless my hand tells me to give up. Okay, I'm at least happy with his colors. I'm just still not satisfied with hers. Even though I was struggling with it last week as well. I kind of decided to go with it. I opened this file again and then I decided that I didn't like it anymore. Curse my brain. Curse my brain. But to be honest, I actually feel like there's not much value in switching to a game halfway other than, you know, me wanting to play a game and so just switching to a game because I can and no one can stop me. But I feel like content-wise, it doesn't add more value. I don't think it's worth it. It's just selfish. It's just something that I want to do. But I'm glad and very relieved that I tend to have the most activity here, that I have the most people chatting when I'm drawing or while I'm drawing rather than playing a game. And also while I'm playing a game, I'm usually so locked in that I forget about chat. So then nothing much happens. I'm gonna fiddle more with her colors. Have I played Hollow Knight? I have not, but I have heard many good things about it. I heard that it's similar to Ori. I did play Ori. It was very painful. I was not prepared because skill issues. But I still enjoyed it. I finished the first one, forgot what it was called, but I never finished the second one. So there's like still playthroughs over on my YouTube channel. The old ones, like from the first year. Like 3 years ago, I think. But I never finished that game. I feel like Hollow Knight, if I were to play it, it's just gonna be a repeat experience of me playing Ori. Or maybe not, I don't know. I would think that it's equally as difficult as Ori. A dull green. That works. What about Minecraft? I have played it together with Minnie. But I didn't really get into it. I know a lot of streamers, a lot of people, they like get really obsessed with Minecraft and Minecraft is all they do. But I never really got into it. Not sure why. I'm not sure if I'm willing to try again on stream though. I think the server we had at the time, I was lacking objectives. Not necessarily, because I was just having a lot of fun kind of floating around and building my own stuff, but for some reason I don't know, it got old, not old, but I feel like it was very daunting because there were so many things that are possible that I just could not wrap my head around. Like it can get very complex with all the systems you can set up, right? And I think it was just daunting to me and I just gave up. Maybe. I'm not sure. It could also be that my attention was just drawn elsewhere and then I just, you know, never looked back. It's usually what happens. I have it a lot actually when I'm halfway through a game, I'm really enjoying it, but then something else grabs my attention and then I just drop it. I drop it like a hot potato. It's so bad, but that's what I do. I don't know, blame my brain. Hollow Knight's a bit harder than Ori, though Ori after boss platforming sections were brutal. I know, there was... I can't imagine that anyone sat through that. I don't think anyone did. But I think at some point in the first Ori game, there was a part where I had to quickly platform up a tree while the water was rising, and I could not for the life of me clear that. I think it took me like 1.5 hours, like 1 hour and 20 minutes before I managed to do it, right? I was like... And that whole run, if you were to do it properly, right, if you didn't die, it was only 2 minutes. But it took me 1 hour and 20 minutes of practice just to clear that part. Oh my gosh. Wait, I'm watching Uma Musume and it's funny to me that someone combined horse racing and idol culture. I have seen a lot of corpo VTubers kind of be obsessed with that game, but I never actually watched any streams or like gameplay related to it. So I don't really get it. As far as I know, it's a gacha game, right? You think Minecraft is my game? I thought so too. I think I could get into it if you know, if I had nothing else to distract me. I could get into it. But it was just not that time. It's very cute and gotcha. I see. But what do you do? Is it also a betting game? Because it's about if it's about horse racing, then it's is it? Or like do you level the characters and then you train them and then you train horses to race? That's it? Maybe I need to see it for myself before I see the charm. Horse racing as a sport is really big in JP, so it was made in honor to that. Plus one very famous. Oh, interesting. In honor of a very famous horse. I like that. You're their manager. Huh. Interesting. I will probably never touch the game, but I'm curious. I'll probably look up a stream of some other VTuber and see what it's all about. Because I thought that whole game was just one big meme, or maybe the internet just made it appear like one big meme. All the characters are based on Iroh Racehorse. Wait, that's so cute. I like that. I miss horseback riding. It's been so long. Wait, there's an anime? Is it better than the game? I'm always skeptical about anime that, you know, are kind of sourced from, is that how you say it? That have like an original game? Because usually it's better to just, you know, either watch someone play the game or to play the game yourself rather than to watch the anime. The West most likely made fun of it as usual. Oh, I see, that's how it is. I may try the anime. I just finished watching the Secrets of the Silent Witch. I really enjoyed it. I liked it. And I found out... No, I was trying to see if I could find whether the light novel has finished. But I couldn't find it. Whether it was completed or not. Because if it is, I may consider reading the light novel rather than waiting for the next seasons, right? Because that's gonna take like 10 years. Just like with the Lord of the Mysteries, it's gonna take like 10 years. And now that I'm reading The Circle of Inevitability, it's like, no, it's gonna take another 10 years before that one comes out, so... I just want to read. Anime is pretty goofy but very cute with some very good racing scenes. Huh. Or Stardew Valley. I have played Stardew Valley. I really liked it. And Yuri on Ice. Ugh, I loved it. Wait, there's another... ice skating or figure skating anime, I think, that recently came out. Was it Medallion? I've not watched it, but I think it was a new figure skating. It's not related to Yuri on Ice. It's also not like a hidden BL. No. It's just about figure skating. But I really like figure skating, so I may watch it. If it's not, it won't. No, it's not. I was just thinking about another figure skating anime that recently came out, but it's not related to Yuri on Ice. I may go back to Stardew Valley. The amount of times I actually restarted the game. I feel like they added a lot of stuff since the last time I played it. I remember playing it way back when it first came out, and I even made an alpaca mod for it, like a mod to change the sheep into alpaca. I was very happy to see that it was downloaded like more than 300 times. Was it 300 or 3,000? I forgot. Many times. I'm glad many people liked it, but I don't know if it still works for the newer versions. There's one more called Chris. You will like that one for sure. I played that one. I'm pretty sure my playthrough is still somewhere on my YouTube channel. Is the expanded version official release or just... Oh, I have no idea. I have no idea. Wait, why don't I just color pick? I can just color pick this. It's better? Question mark? I think I just want to change this to this color here, the dark. Maybe it's still a little bit too green. Hold on, I will... Is it too close? Is it that close in color? No way. Okay. I will just make this a tad bit darker to match what he has. Like this. Wait, which is it? I always meant to get Gris. I enjoyed it. To be honest, it's been a while, so I don't actually remember much of the game itself, but I do remember that I enjoyed it. I need to link my VOD here. You mean my VOD channel? Shit, I think I only have the main one linked, don't I? Shit. I need to check. I will check. If I don't forget, I will check. You could get Guacamelee? I have never heard of that one. It's a fun Metroidvania. Platformer? Platformer? I played a bunch of smaller, like, casual games as well. Like, Hoa. Played a bunch of indie games in the past. Like, ones that I knew that I could complete within 3 or 4 streams. I've also yet to finish Hades. If I can ever reach the end. I haven't opened Hades in a while. I don't know, when it comes to games, especially the longer ones, the ones that take longer to complete, I'm not too concerned about finishing them on stream. For the longer ones, I usually tend to enjoy them more offline. Just play them by myself rather than waiting every week just to play the game. Do you want to dive into Hades 2? I would only consider getting Hades 2 once I have completed the first one. The problem with Hades is the end isn't really the end. I assume there's like an end to the story part, right? Even though you can just keep playing the game after the credits roll. Do you mean it like that? Or do you mean that Hades is an open ending and it continues in Hades 2? I just finished posting all the wire wraps I made on Discord. Yes, I will check it later. Not telling? Okay. That's very good, actually. Thank you, Scotty. I tend to ask questions, like, about things that I don't actually want to know, or actually don't want to find out. I could be like, I'll be asking a question and then immediately be like, wait, no, actually don't tell me. Please don't tell me. We'll find out one day. I hope so. I do hope so. I have so many games in my list that I kind of started and then I just dropped halfway through. So I'm slowly, very slowly trying to complete all of them. But it takes time. So much time. And as you all know, I don't have much time. I'll type hi. Feel the same way. I have not finished Hades yet. Got stuck grinding. At least it feels like you are improving with every run. It's not like you are, you know, starting over from scratch because you have the passives from the what is it? The mirror, the wall in your bedroom, right? So at least it doesn't feel like I'm like repeatedly trying the same thing. Like you are improving. And other than that, it's just skill issue. I have skill issue. Are these clouds? There are no clouds. There are no clouds in the sky. I don't know if I want to add them. I don't think so. These are like, how to say? Floating pieces of earth, like floating islands. I'm not sure how to tackle them yet. I think I'm gonna make everything like a yellow/orange color just to make it easier for myself. Including the trees. Trees and grass. Everything is just gonna be like an orange or yellow. I may change my mind later. It's still very experimental. Rags? Rags. This is number 5. I'm glad I numbered them. It's so much easier if you number them. What are they doing? Nothing yet. This is how the story starts. Or actually, there's a prologue before this one. Let me see if I can show it to you. I don't think it's finished yet. It's not finished yet. But here starts the prologue. Pay attention. Pay attention. I'm gonna scroll through, okay? Just for your eyes only. Because it's not actually complete. There were clouds. I guess I'll add them at some point. This is the concept art that I have made for myself. So I may actually copy this style. I'm not sure yet. It's all very experimental. This whole thing is very experimental. As you can see, I'm just using... I make my sketches on lined paper, and then I take a photo, and then I just drag them in here, just kind of to see what it would look like, right, as a test. So this isn't actually the finished product yet. So this is where it starts. And then we go here, right? I hope it's interesting enough for people to see. It was actually very difficult to put this together because it's only 4 episodes, which means that I needed to kind of come to a conclusion quickly. And me being someone who likes to kind of almost over-explain things and kind of delve into the details, that was very difficult for me. It's not the same color. But yeah, as you can see, I'm struggling with colors a lot. I'm not very well versed in color theory and rendering. So again, this is all super experimental, but I'm having fun. I'm having fun just trying stuff out. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If I want to change it, I'll change it. EG color. And then we have having fun is important. Exactly. That's why we draw, right? That's why we do things that we do. Usually. At least when it comes to hobbies. Same with hobbies that have gone out of hand. Why they ask where are we? Would you not ask the same if you suddenly woke up in an environment that you don't recognize? I've not posted any of this on my socials anywhere, so this is like exclusive insight to the work in progress. They seem to know. They do. I will make their looks a bit more vacant here. Actually, let me drop it from here. You know, this would be a good time to actually make fixed color palettes for them. It would be quicker than like scrolling up and down. But considering that I may change my mind again later, I will not make the color palette just yet. I can always just block out the parts and then go back and revise them easily later. I'm actually supposed to finish the line work first because I have not finished the line work yet, but I don't really feel like doing any lining today, so I decided to do some color blocking. Don't be like me. My work in progress, it's like all over the place. I don't have a fixed way of working. Do they know that Ouroboros lady? No, they don't. They do not. They do not why they're here. They do not know each other, and they do not know this Ouroboros lady here either. Everything is a complete mystery. But don't worry if it's not clear from the start, because readers will find out. My readers are very smart. Everyone here is very smart. They can figure these things out. To be honest, I had my doubts about this story for the longest time, because I was worried that people wouldn't understand what was happening. But I decided to kind of push the concept anyway and see how people would receive it, but also kind of with the intention of letting the readers decide what was happening and what the intention is behind all this. So it's not really fixed. So if you're looking for fixed answers, then this little short story is probably not for you. It'll all stay a little bit vague. But that was the only way I could create such a short story, right? Because I originally created it for a short story contest, which long passed, that was years ago. But I liked the concept enough to kind of continue working on it, even though the contest had already ended. And so that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just trying to finish it at this point. I just want to finish it. And then people can just draw their own conclusions. I was like very briefly entertained by the idea of making perhaps a sequel to this short story to kind of flesh out some of the unanswered questions. Well, not really unanswered, but just some mysterious things about this world. But then I decided against it because, I don't know, it was never meant to push this concept that far. So I may reincarnate some of the characters in a different story. I may reuse them, but I will likely never go back to Ouroboros after this one is finished. It's just gonna be a short 4-episode story. Thinking about it, 4 episodes is actually not a lot at all. It's very little, especially considering how quickly I was drawing up episodes for Pandemonium in the past. But I was just really held up about like how to tackle this project, like whether I wanted it colored, you know, what kind of you know, how I wanted to line it, and then also how I wanted to color it, where there's a lot of things to take into consideration, and I had not kind of thought things through when I started. So that's also why I keep saying that this very project is very, very experimental. But despite that, I do want to kind of complete this project. Because hopefully the readers will find it interesting enough to read. And also, I guess mostly just to have a completed story under my belt. That's what I want the most, really. To have one finished story under my name. Regardless of its execution. I wonder how long I'll be able to keep up this kind of productivity. Do you guys not have it that once the new year starts, you're kind of hit with a surge of motivation to do things, to get things done? I always try to make the most of it because I know that it passes just as quickly. maybe I will have given up again by next month. We don't know. But until then, I'll try to do as much as I can. I do feel it, but it's really vague. I think you already kind of started like end of last year, right? With looking into Pixiv and fanbooks and everything. I feel like you get more bursts per year than I do. These kind of bouts of you know, motivation to kind of look into things, research stuff. Not enough for me to do anything about it. I felt like that the longest time, actually. But then I wouldn't call that a burst of motivation. I would just call that... for me personally, it would be a goal that I have, but I don't feel motivated enough to sit down and actually work on it. Not sure if we're referring to the same thing, but... that's how it is with me, at least. I'm always on the look for something new. Blame ADHD for that. The cravings for novelty. I mean, it's good. The craving to find someone new could turn into an inspiration or a motivation to, you know, do something with this newfound, you know, whatever it is, like piece of technology or platform, right? And even if it doesn't, that's fine too, because you have gained, you know, new insight, you have gained new knowledge. So it's not like nothing's happening, right? Even if you're not actively doing something or actively working on your projects, it's not like you stop learning. It's never at a standstill. It's a wild ride for sure, I can imagine. Man, I feel tired just thinking about diving into all these different platforms and software and whatnot. My brain currently tells me that I just want to sit down and focus on, you know, my projects, my personal projects, and not about anything else. I think before I wrote that tidbit, I was looking into some of the writing software that people use. Oh, thank you for the lurk flashbacks. Thank you, thank you. But I very quickly decided that it was too much effort, and so I just scribbled that little piece of text in Google Docs. Makes me go the distance of overcoming something huge like language barriers if it means I can reach the goal I want. I wonder if the general public will be able to see the finished version of Enter Ouroboros this year. I need to step up my game if I want that to happen. But like technically, you know, if I look at my past experiences. I should be able to finish one episode within 1 month. So technically, I should be able to finish Ouroboros before my birthday. But I also know that me, in my current state, that would be way too ambitious. I started writing and drawing Pandemonium when I was still working freelance, so I had a lot of time to myself. But ever since switching to a 9 to 5, I just can't muster the energy or the time. Actually, in the beginning, it was possible for me to work on my own projects under working hours, actually. Don't tell anyone. But because I was still being trained at the time, right? And I picked things up very quickly. So whenever I finished tasks, it means that I had quite a bit of idle time on my hands, so I would just do something else while I waited for, new things to come in for me to work on. But currently, I guess it's a good thing that my team relies on me so much, but I just can't do that anymore. I'm being properly kept busy by my job, which I guess is a good thing. It's a good thing. Maybe I should give myself like weekly goals or something. That way, rather than telling myself to sit down and work, I will have a more kind of tangible goal, a more clear goal of what I want to do. So rather than saying sit down and work, I would say, complete 1 panel. Finish 1 panel per week. I don't care when you do it. Just finish 1 panel every week. Yeah, I can do that. And if I end up doing more, then great, that's fine. If I feel motivated to keep drawing, then I can just keep drawing. It's interesting how we sometimes need to resort to tricking our brains into doing things. Why is that? Why are we like this? Setting easy goals to achieve will help build up motivation over time. Yeah, exactly. Because I don't know if you remember, but I had a little what's it called? Time frame? I forgot the word. You know what I mean. I had a little list where I gave myself deadlines like, oh, this has to be done by then and this has to be done by then, you know? But it was all quite vague. They were fixed deadlines, but it was quite, you know, it's a very big goal. It wasn't something that I could achieve, you know, within 1 week, right? Like one task would take months. So then it will make sense for me to kind of break that down into smaller tasks. Like I knew this. I already knew that it's, you know, easier to divide one big task into smaller tasks, right? To make it more digestible so that you would actually do it. I just never really thought about doing it. I was like, no, I just need to find time to sit down and it'll be okay. But then I didn't, right? Because the Lord of the Mysteries happened. Mine don't think those as necessary, I guess. That's true. That's true. But regardless, I want to find a way to trick my brain into doing things that I want to do. Which sounds kind of counterintuitive because it is something I want to do, but somehow I cannot bring myself to do it. That makes sense. Yes. The mind is a curious thing. I don't remember the exact psychological wording for it, but it's like an accumulative point system. I guess people would throw that under the gamification of life. I guess you could consider it to be a form of gamification. But regardless of how you call it, it seems to work for many people. The thing is, right, preferably, if you want to keep being productive, if you want to stay consistent, it means that you need to build up a habit. And that's the thing that takes the longest, to build up the habit. To kind of do things automatically. Yeah, exactly what you said. To do it automatically without feeling that you're pushing yourself, but you're doing it because that's what you're always doing it. That was not a sentence. What did I just say? The heck, brain. What did I just say? I only know that whatever I just said didn't make sense. You know what I mean. I think surrounding yourself with things that are boring and what you would want to do could work. I don't think it's just a matter of boring or interesting. Because, like, if I were to compare it to my full-time job, you could call that more boring than my hobbies, right? But there's a different intention behind it because I am being paid to do that, so it means that my brain tells me that I have to do it because I am being compensated for it financially, right? And I cannot afford to lose this compensation, like I need it. Whereas when it comes to hobbies, it just becomes very difficult to motivate yourself unless it's like a habit, you know? But I guess in a way, Knockvoid, you are right, where, you know, whenever I do have free time, obviously it is very easy for me to just start up a game compared to, you know, opening up my drawing software, pulling out my drawing tablet and to start drawing. you know, it's just 10 times easier and more tempting to start up a game, right? Because games are made to be interesting, to give your brain that kind of, you know, that dopamine hit, right? But one way to solve that would be to have different PCs for different purposes, right? Or to divide that in different rooms. For example, if I was working on a laptop, so then I would have a dedicated part of the room or a separate room entirely where I just work, and then a different room where I play games, for example. So then my mind will kind of be trained to, okay, if I'm in this environment, it means I have to work. If I'm in that environment, it means I can play, right? Unfortunately, I live in an 11 square meter room and everything is on one PC. So it takes a lot of kind of almost willpower to almost force myself to do the work. And then I say forced, but then once I sit down to do the work, like once I sit down to either write or draw, I'm having a lot of fun doing it. And I usually will not put it down unless unless I feel tired, or unless it's, you know, I need to eat something or whatever. It's really that initial push, that initial hurdle to get me started. That's the hardest part to start. And I think, you know, building habits, or even, you know, giving myself a fixed time, I guess, per day or even per week, maybe once a week, let's start there. And tell myself, okay, that's the time when I sit down and I will just work. And then I can work for as long as I want. If after 5 minutes I really can't get into drawing, then I will just stop, you know, then it's like, okay, I tried. But I think the building the habit of just starting is already very helpful. But these are things that I have been thinking about for the past years now and repeatedly tried to implement, but it's just very difficult. At least for me, it's very difficult to kind of build this habit. And it's also partially the reason why I started streaming, right? Because there's some accountability there where, okay, I sit down, I stream, and I work, right? I stream and I draw. And then there's other people here who are kind of watching me, not checking whether I'm working, because I assume that most of you people will not care whether I'm drawing or chatting, and that's not important. But I do notice that because of my streams, at least I'm drawing every week. At least I'm drawing consistently. At least I'm making some progress, right? It's tough. It's just a lot of things to think about, and one method may work for one and not for the other. It's just tricky. Where was I? Positive affirmation of a certain action will solidify positive association later down the line. Yes, especially if that positive affirmation is external. Preferably, you do not want to rely on external positive affirmation, like, you know, from the internet or from other people. But it is such a huge motivator for most people. Like, you cannot disregard that. But you just don't want to 100% depend on that, right? Maggie would not have survived her current work if there was no active great game. Yep, money makes the world go round, unfortunately. I need money. I need money to have a roof over my head. I need money for food. I need money for my games. I need money for my internet. It's unfortunate, but true. Hobbies are nice, but don't have the same heavy gain comparatively. It's just different. There's different mindsets, different intentions behind them, right? In my opinion, just separating yourself from things you do not want to do would be a plus B step. That's true. That's true. Actually, it was a goal of mine from last year. I told myself that I wanted to consume less and to produce more. Consuming specifically when it comes to watching anime, when it comes to playing games, when it comes to scrolling through social media. And the only thing that I managed to cut down was scrolling through social media. I don't really do that anymore. I do it when I know I have the time and I feel idle and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna scroll for a bit, but it's not like I'm mindlessly scrolling whenever I have time, right? It's much less than it was before. But I still ended up... I think I did a really good job in the first half of last year. But then the second half, I did go back to playing more games, and I did find out about the Lord of the Mysteries, and so I spent a lot of time reading novels, consuming a lot of media. And to be honest, I don't regret it, but it did obviously have a huge effect on what I could have done that year. On what could have happened. But I don't want to think that way. I don't want to think about what could have happened. Because while it's true that technically I could have finished this comic last year, the fact is that I didn't. The fact is that I didn't, and it still needs to be done. Let me rephrase that. It doesn't need to be done, but I want it to be done. Right? I'm not forcing myself to do anything. I'm doing this because I want to do this. This is also why many creators will honestly admit that unless their creative activities overhaul regular work responsibilities in that greater gain sense, progress and frequency will be slower, which is to be expected. We all need to survive. I'm also obviously considering how much of my free time, I want to dedicate to producing, and how much of that time I want to spend on consuming. And I've not yet been able to find that balance yet. Life's a work in progress, right? We try stuff, we find out it doesn't work, and so we try something else. It is what it is. What can I do? I can only keep trying, right? But yeah, that's why I think streaming, I think my streams are really nice. I get to chat with you guys while drawing. I've often thought about, increasing the amount that I stream. But at the moment it's just not really feasible for me. But it is something that I have been thinking about in the back of my mind for like the past few years, I guess. Obviously, in the beginning, I was very much testing the waters, see whether streaming is something for me at all. You know, maybe I hate it. But I didn't. So I kept going. And here we are. I've been rambling a lot today. Water. I think the rate of passing of time is related to the frequency of stuff we subject ourselves to. Yes. I agree. You're right. You're right. If I, for example, were to play a game all day or watch an anime all day, I would feel like time passes way more quickly compared to if I had done various things that day, you know, whether it's housework or like 1 hour of reading, 1 hour of playing game, 1 hour of drawing. Because I did so many things in one day, it feels like I did more in less amount of time. Even though the time is the same, right? Time is constant. But it doesn't feel that way. And actually the feeling that you managed to do a lot in one day, many different things, whether for a short while, it motivates you more because you feel like, wow, I can get all this stuff done within one day. And it won't it will, or at least to me, it will feel less like you wasted your day compared to if you were to do one thing all day long, right? So yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that. And filling with Xfolio still learned that payment systems are still only for JP residents, so I can keep it as a pretty portfolio for JP users. Ooh. Do they have plans to expand that beyond Japan? I guess in a way, going back to what Napoi just said, days that I stream, so on Sundays, they always pass very quickly for me. Because I don't do many things that day. The biggest chunk of the time is spent on just streaming. Even though I'm being super productive. But time just seems to pass so quickly. Every Sunday. I missed that line. I need to add it. I may want to extract that actually. Let me do that before I mess things up. No idea, but I follow their socials, so I'm sure they'd let us know if such changes happen. I always found JP platforms to be very kind of exclusive for non-Japanese people. Maybe not intentionally, but that's what it feels like. It just feels less accessible. I strongly believe that if you're doing nothing, it's far worse than doing 0.1% of work you want to be done that day. 0 plus 0 is 0, and nobody likes 0 except mathematicians or some other people. I think even mathematicians don't like 0. Zero is a very interesting number, but we're not gonna delve into maths. I can't speak today. Mathematics. But yeah, that's why sometimes I will just tell myself to sit down and start drawing. It doesn't matter how long I draw, as long as I sit down and start. Even if I have only drawn one line and I feel already done with what I'm doing, I have drawn one line, right? It is something. I did something that day. I could have also not drawn that line, but I actually pushed myself and draw that line. But again, as mentioned, what usually happens is that I will just continue drawing. It's really that initial hurdle for most people, especially for me, from my own experience. It's interesting, no? These are it's a hobby of mine. It's something that I love doing, yet how is it that it takes me so much effort to sit down and do that thing that I love so much? It's crazy. I will never be able to wrap my head around it. Why that is the case. They're very local-centric, yeah, but I don't see any walls keeping us off the platform either. It's just a challenge on an individual basis. Yeah, exactly. It's not like they're actively, you know, pushing away people who are not Japanese. It's just that they don't bother to accommodate for them, right? If language is a challenge, then you'd be on par with a toddler who doesn't know how to speak yet, and that's your challenge. Exactly. It's screaming. That sounds like a you problem to me. When I do nothing someday for some reason extends to a few days, then I'm forced to do that thing in less time. You know, everyone, most people, especially people who procrastinate, which arguably is everyone knows that. Yet for some reason, many of them just cannot bring themselves to do it earlier. It's such an interesting concept. And then they read all these books, they watch all these videos on how to combat it, and then still not do it. It is fascinating. I'm saying this because I'm one of those people. I'm one of them. I do it even with my regular day job, right? Very often there are tasks that I could just finish immediately, but I don't. I'm like, nah, I don't feel like doing it right now. Try again. Like, ask me again in 5 minutes. And maybe I'll do it. Like, I'll do it. But I'll do it at the end of the day, for example. But obviously, if something is super urgent, I'm on top of my shit, right? I am on top of everything. I will get it done, right? But if I know that it can wait, I'll let them wait. And despite that, a lot of colleagues and customers have been telling me that my response is so quickly. I work so fast. I'm like, wow, I guess I can, you know, take it a little bit easier. I guess there's no need for me to be so on top of everything. If this is considered fast for them. Like, I will slack, but within a reasonable amount, right? Just don't tell my boss that. Because probably in their eyes, if I'm slacking, it means that I get my work done quickly, so they can give me more work. And I don't want them to give me more work. I don't need more work. My current workload is fine. I don't need them to add to it, please. If they do, they better give me a higher salary if they do. I'm not doing it for nothing. If they increase my salary, I'll do it. I think I'm just gonna keep going today. I'm just gonna keep drawing. Just keep blocking these parts, since I kind of pretty much decided on the colors. To make it easier for myself, I'll do it from start to finish, so I don't actually jump back and forth between the episodes, because I noticed that it becomes very tedious to go through the parts that I have finished and the ones that I haven't. And because it becomes tedious, it kind of puts me off on opening the file at all, because I know that I'm gonna have to, you know, sift through everything that I have not completed yet. So I need to behave, and I need to stick to the regular order. Start from the start and work my way towards the ending. That said, the prologue isn't finished. I should probably do that. I'll do it after I finish this one. I'll do it after. Art people hate AI, I heard. Do you hate it too? I do not... Okay, I need to be careful with what I say now. I do not hate AI itself. Okay? Like not talking about the fact that it's not true AI, it's machine learning, but let's just call it AI because everyone calls it AI. I do not hate AI itself. Let's be very clear on that. I believe AI is an incredibly powerful tool that can help in, like, to advance, like, medical diagnosis, to, you know, find mistakes, or to, you know, help people do their jobs, to help with tedious calculations and such. But art is not one of them. So yeah, I do have something against generative, like AI generated images. I don't call it art because by definition, images generated by AI cannot be called art. But it's because they are sourced unethically. If at some point there is, you know, a database that is ethically obtained, I have no, you know, I don't have anything against it, against people using it, as long as they state clearly this was generated with, you know, generative AI. But the way it currently is, it's just atrocious. So I suppose in short, I would say yes, I hate it. You know, assuming the context that you talk about, right? Not quite. Under that context, yes. I hate it. It creates a lot of distrust between, you know, what is posted on the internet and between, you know, what people see. People have started questioning everything they see, and it's being used maliciously, right? Which I'm sure was not the original intention of the people who brought this to the market. Maybe it was, I don't know. I'm gonna assume that this wasn't their intention, but knowing humanity, knowing humans, this was inevitable. It was bound to be abused the way it is abused now. And that's not the fault of AI, that is the fault of people using it. So yeah, that's my stance on Gen AI. AI itself is also not the same as Gen AI. They are different both in nature, in code, and in use. Exactly. Like the term AI obviously has been around a lot. I was also asked to set up AI for like games, for example, you know, for NPC and for monsters. They use AI to function. They use it to, you know, move, to attack, whatever, right? That's also AI. But it was completely coded by humans. I think it is Gen AI that is currently just very much out of hand. Let's put it that way. Very much out of hand. It needs to be reined in. We need some laws surrounding AI. I think AI nowadays is just a product of capitalism, not of technological advancements. I think every technological advancement, any form of advancement or new discovery will become a product of capitalism. You see it in every field. You see it in medicine, you see it in like factories, you see it everywhere. So I think that's normal. But what can we do? What can I do? I feel like most of the people who use Gen AI to generate images, they're not aware of where it came from, right? They are not aware that the databases, or rather everything inside the databases, is acquired unethically, borderline illegally, I would say. I think the most harmful part of that is that all the generative AI software that is currently out, those are all paid. Like the users have to pay for them. The people who own those databases with all that stolen work, they earn money off of said work, right? And that's one of the parts that artists really hate the most. They are not being compensated for their work. But I think in the end, when I say in the end, I mean like perhaps years from now, people will still go back to, you know, I would say human art. Like art is supposed to be human, but people have been coining it human art, right? Art created by humans and not by Gen AI. One of the arguments that a lot of people who create generative AI use is that artists somehow are gatekeeping art, which is not true. There are so many, you know, tutorials and how-tos and guides out there for complete beginners. Like, what do you mean artists are gatekeeping? If you ask us, like, hey, how did you draw this? We'll tell you. It's not a secret. We will tell you. We're not gatekeeping anything. All the things, everything you want to learn is out there on the internet. It's free most of the time too. You can just, you know, read. You can look at it and learn yourself. I think a lot of these people also don't really realize what it means to create art or to be an artist. I'm gonna be super like philosophical about this, but art is a journey, right? Most artists don't create art because they want a pretty image because of the end product. They make art because they enjoy it. They like the journey. They don't want to skip to the final process. They don't want a completed image. That's not why they draw. That's not why I'm here. People will argue, yeah, but it's faster to, you know, make art with AI. And yeah, sure, you can create images with the click of a button, but where's the fun in that? A lot of people who watch me work will probably also argue like, hey, there's a tool for that to speed things up. Or, oh, hey, you can just use the what a bucket tool or whatever to do that. I'm like, yeah, I know. But where's the fun in that? Like, coloring these things in and just drawing and I'm relaxing. I'm having fun. Stop taking my fun away from me. But yeah, I know there's a lot of artists out there who absolutely despise AI, and I do feel a sting in my heart every time I see AI generated images on my timeline or anywhere on the internet. But I don't know. What can I do? I'm powerless, right? Powerless to stop it. This is now something that's here to stay. I just need to be extra careful where I share my art, right? I would be absolutely devastated if my art would somehow be reproduced and regurgitated through one of those AI software. I would be oh my gosh, I would probably cry. I would probably never post my art online ever again. So I'm very fortunate to be a very small artist that hardly anyone knows. As far as I'm aware, my art has not been, ripped and stolen yet. I missed some. Gen AI in its current form without effective regulations has no place across all fields of use, be socially, technically, and other. There are far too many issues and problems with it for it to just roam free and unrestricted. I agree. I believe generative AI can be, or is, incredibly powerful, but it should not be used for this. Like, this is not the way. I believe someone on the internet formulated it very beautifully, saying that we want Gen AI to take over our household tasks, to take over all the tedious things that we have to do in life, so that I can make more art. We don't want AI to make art for us, so that I have to do all the housework, right? It's very much about the intent. And the intent does not come from AI itself, it comes from the people who use it. So I guess if I had to hate someone, hate the people. Hate the people who use it. But hate the people who knowingly use it, right? Because I know there's a lot of people out there who are not aware of what goes behind the scraping. The scraping! Sounds so ominous, but it's true. The scraping. And it's not like artists are gonna give up creating art, right? Because to artists, that's something that they enjoy. It's something that they do and that they will keep doing regardless because, you know, whether it's for their own peace of mind, you know, it either calms them down or it helps them, you know, recharge after a long day at work. They will keep doing it because they love making art. That's why they are artists. The issue with them is that they don't want to learn. They're just greedy and needy with no will to move a single muscle, nor do they care about that honor of creating to their name, adding that honor of creating to their name. Yeah, I sometimes wonder whether that is the real reason. I don't know, I have never really understood it, to be honest. I don't think I ever will. And I'm not sure I want to. Look, if other people, you know, want to do it, I can't stop them. I guess in a way, artists are incredibly used to seeing their art get stolen. It's been happening for years. Years and years and years. This is just another added layer. A new layer of theft. I will despise Gen AI for a long time to come since it shows no signs of changing for the better. I will despise the developers for making this happen and pushing it and continue to scrape despite, you know, despite the protest, despite knowingly stealing from other artists. I cannot speak for the individual users. I cannot say I despise them, but I will think of them as less than human when I find out. Not just for art, but although shitty Gen AI coding for making games. Oh gosh, yeah. But I would consider that to be part of the art community, right? Anything for entertainment, and so that includes acting, that includes voice acting. Like Gen AI should not be used for entertainment, for any form of entertainment. It's especially painful considering that a lot of people think of artists, the job of being artist, as, you know, useless. They think it's useless. Even though art is literally all around us. I don't know. I would like to say that I hate the users, but I cannot. I can't muster the energy to hate them. I will just block and leave them be. There's often no sense in trying to talk sense into them, right? I have seen the discussions many times online. It just seems AI will make people dumb and then sell them what they lost to AI for money. That does sound like something that, you know, corporate companies would do. There's a lot of money to be made out of this. And they will try to do so as long as there's no, you know, real fixed laws to prevent this. They'll just keep doing it for as long as they can. And the top elites will profit off of that control. I mean, it's typical capitalism. It's to be expected, honestly. It's awful, but it's to be expected. Maybe I'm just being incredibly cynical here, but I don't expect much from most humans. When I say most humans, I speak of like modern human society, not people on an individual level. I have always said that humanity will be its own downfall. This is just one small step. I'm sure there's a lot of good literature coming up from real artists, right? From real writers regarding this conundrum. I think another thing that I do really hate about it is that they're often being so sneaky about it, right? They will opt you into certain like AI trainings without telling you, or without, you know, asking you whether you want to enable it or not. You need to go and find it and then opt out of it manually. It's almost as if they're like, well, if we can get away with stealing from you, we will. We will. I see my friends not want to study books or even watch lectures online. They just search things on ChatGPT and mark it done. Yes, and I think the most harmful thing about it is even if they do end up learning something from searching things on ChatGPT, a lot of that information is wrong. You cannot trust the answers that, you know, is given to you by ChatGPT. It's meant to be used as a tool. And people just take it for the truth because it's easy. Inventors get their stuff stolen too, time and time, aging for profit. Yes, yes. And then we're not even talking about all the inventions over the past hundreds of years that were actually discovered or invented by women, but somehow their male partners got away with all the credit. That's a whole different topic. It is sad. It's very sad. I also noticed that younger people who kind of grew up around, I guess, around the modern conveniences, so like the younger generations, they don't know how to be patient. They will look at maybe a 5-minute video explaining something, and then they will complain that it takes too long, or that they're not getting to the point or something. Similarly to some comments that I have seen under novel chapters where they're saying like, this is too slow paced, or they don't understand what is happening, right? And I'm like, just read. Just read. They just don't have the patience anymore. They don't learn to be patient. And the stupid thing is that it's not their fault. They were just never taught to be patient. Even though having patience pays off so much, they just don't realize it. They're used to that dopamine hit, right? They're used to getting what they want immediately and then be happy about it. They don't want to work for their achievements. And that very often reflects in the users who use Gen AI to, create images. Again, I refuse to call it art. Oh, my toggle is broken. Wait, to that reason, I just stopped using AI chatbots. They're too shallow. I think it only adds to the loneliness pandemic. People call it a loneliness pandemic because more and more people have been feeling lonely, and they no longer know how to talk to each other anymore, right? Because it's something that takes practice. It's something that people need to practice. And the more you don't do it, the more anxious you get doing it. So you also get a generation that is just socially anxious for everything. But also won't be critical of your thinking. It will be a support no matter if you're on the way to your doom or on the path to victory. Yes, my goodness. The amount of stories I have read in the newspaper of, very young people self-exiting because they were encouraged by a chatbot. That is atrocious. That is saddening, to be honest. I'm smiling, but I shouldn't. That's just my model. My model just always smiles, okay? That's so bad. And they won't do anything about it. Or maybe they will try, but because it runs on a database, because it is machine learning, it's very difficult for anyone to unlearn anything, right? How do you remove that? And meanwhile, the chatbots just keep going. They keep growing. Just like that honey thing. Wait, which honey thing? I don't know about a honey thing. Good times create weak men, bad times create strong men is a quote from a social study, and I find it fitting for current student in school. Oof. That said, would you consider this good times? Would you argue that we're currently in a good time? I feel like humanity is only speeding up their road to doom. I mean, it is inevitable, but I think, a lot of the choices that are being made today are speeding things up. reading is one thing that will teach patience. Yes, I've heard that less and less people read, and one of the reasons for that, at least here in my country, is because that people aren't as good as reading anymore. They're not very practiced. And so if you're not very good at reading, obviously the act of reading will put you off because it will get frustrating, and then you lose your patience, right? You lose your patience even quicker. I've read somewhere that the reading comprehension of young children has halved in just the past 10 years. I don't know how much of that is true, but it has severely diminished. And that's sad, because ever since I was a kid, I loved reading. And obviously by reading more, your reading comprehension will improve, obviously. So if you don't read, then you will also not feel motivated to read more. And I'm not speaking of like children's books or novels, right? Things that are, or like books that are mostly read for entertainment, but also when it comes to official documents that you receive from the government, or documents or letters involving, tax forms, any official stuff. People now who grow up will not be able to read and comprehend these letters, and that is concerning. I'm going on a tangent here, but you know what I mean. I'm talking about all the woes of modern day society, but are there any good things that are happening? Is there any good news too among all these atrocities? That's true, but I think social media just enhance it more, or so encourage it. I think so too. I think the use of social media has changed a lot actually in the last, let's say, 10 years, or since it was first around. And it does very much skew, how to say, the kind of the younger generation, especially because it's very easy to fall into this tunnel vision, because social media will feed to you only things that they think you find interesting. And that creates even more very concerning developments, with like more extreme, almost cult-like societies kind of rising because of it. More extreme thinking. Like they're almost, how to say, slowly losing empathy or sympathy. They don't really learn how to approach things from a different point of view, because they are only given one point of view, and then that point of view is only enhanced through social media, through the algorithm. Turning into Limbo, that game was wild. It is, yeah. I like that game. That was a cute game. I mean, as far as you can call it cute. Compared to, let's say, 100 years ago, we have way more than back then. Also, war on an equal global scale is also not a thing. Not that we need it to improve, but for the students in school, being pushed to use AI is what I consider good times, to such an extent that it will deplete and diminish their own intellect as a result, leading to weak men. We will have a very weak generation. I'm just thinking back. I think because we are kind of at the cusp, right? At the very beginning of this development. I liked that game too. It was great. I really liked it. But like, you could argue that it's been going on for like a few years now, I believe. But it's still very much the beginning, considering everything, right? Because there's no real laws, there's no, how to say, we have not really developed a good way to healthily deal with all the new technologies that are thrown at us, right? Because the technologies are going so fast. It's very difficult for human society to kind of keep up with these advancements. I forgot where I was going. Right. So I would argue that in 10 years' time, we would be in a better place, right? Right now, everything may look chaos. It's very chaotic. It's literal pandemonium. It's literally what I have been writing about in my comic. I predicted it. But I think it will improve. I think in 10 years' time, it will be better than it is today. Because we will learn how to deal with it. We will learn to kind of counteract the negative things that are a result of these new technical advancements, right? We will learn how to deal with it, and then things will improve. And then probably something similar will happen and it will go bad again, but then it will improve again. It's been like that for hundreds of years. And I think it will continue to be like that. So I like to be optimistic here. I do always say, I always speak of impending doom and pandemonium is coming and the end of humanity, but I do believe that it will improve. When you swing the pendulum towards one extreme, it will bounce back equally to the other side. Exactly, right? It's not a constant. We are experiencing a wave. We will have ups and downs, and right now we happen to be in a down. It's unfortunate, but it's true. So I like to tell myself that things will improve. We don't know when, we don't know how, but I do know that they will improve. Maybe in 10 years' time. Maybe. Because all in all, considering everything, if you were to compare modern day society to 100 years ago, we're doing great. Compared to 100 years ago, our lives have improved. They have improved so much. We're just a little bit, in a down part because of very, very specific things that are happening in life. I think also because of the media, right? We get news from all over the world. Whereas 100 years ago, you knew what was happening in your village and that's about it. Okay, maybe not 100. But usually you would hear things about your direct environment, right? You wouldn't hear about what was happening at the other end of the world. Now we do. So we get kind of all the bad news of everything, everywhere in the world kind of thrown at us. Which I guess would also lead to this very negative thinking in society of like, oh, the world's going to dust, the world's ending, and it's all bad and it's gonna be bad. But no, don't worry. It will improve. I promise. I hereby promise. Mark my words. Things will improve. We are taught to carry burden and joy on a global scale. Yeah, I forgot why, but humans really like bad news. You see it a lot in like on the news, like in regular, like if you read the newspaper or watch the news on TV. We really like bad news for some reason, because it creates a ripple and people will, they'll start talking about it, about how atrocious it is. But I would argue that there's an equal amount of good news happening. A lot of good news in the world. We just don't get to hear about it. I think there's actually an account on Instagram that only posts good news in the world. I like that one. I forgot what it was called, but it's nice. They post good news every day. It's like good things that happened in the world, and you're like, wow, thanks. That's great. I love to hear that. Anyways, I think that, and then I just go back to my own bubble. My own bubble of... and my own worries of procrastinating on my own projects. I want to try and only worry about the things that I can affect, the things that I can immediately influence. Because let's be real, it's exhausting to worry about things that you can't control. It's good to empathize, but don't let it consume you. Imagine a rule that forces a system to evaluate every news on an emotional scale. Yeah. People do love the drama. Or at least off the top of my head, when I watch the news, it's usually always bad news. What the heck? What the heck is up with that? Can't they say something nice for once? They'll have something nice occasionally, of course, but the amount of bad news overshadows the good news. If one gigantic bad news is hosted, then you need 20 plus good ones to balance. But there are still so many good things happening in the world. We just don't get to hear about it, and that's why everyone is thinking that the world is slowly ending. I need more water. I also need water to go with all the salt I just inhaled. I'm so sorry. okay, okay. Thought you were being salty. You're being salty because of the things we discussed. It really does, it really does. I guess in a way, it's good that I don't care too much about things I can't control. Because that means that I don't spend any more energy on it than necessary. Off topic, but do you want to see my X follows? Sure. If I don't need an account to view it, then yes. Just link it. I mean, in the Discord. Because I don't know if I can find it if it's here in Twitch. It's public, sweet. I think I was making my own portfolio in, what was it? On Weebly, but obviously there's not really any traffic there, so maybe better to have a separate platform host it for me. The thing is, I'm just not very happy with all the works I have created so far. I don't know if I would be able to put together a portfolio today, this day and age, with everything I've created so far. It's not that I didn't make any art last year, for example, but the art I did make, it's not portfolio worthy, in my opinion. I'll very likely be working on this project, by the way, for the unforeseeable future. Until I finish it. And then I will move on to... I think my next priority would be the optimized prologue for Pandemonium. And after that... I don't know. Like for the Angel comic, for example, the Angel comic and also Pandemonium itself, before I show anything on stream, I would have to make sure that the script is finished and up to par. I had the same thought, but surprisingly I fit in better on JP platforms. It's interesting. That makes sense, I guess. The amount of times I was rejected when applying for jobs because my art style was too Asian looking. That said, I never regret like not getting into the game industry though. I regret nothing. I think that would have broken me. Assuming that nothing has changed, it's still very much a toxic, like, industry to work in. Very toxic, very... You need to work very hard for very little. So unless you're truly passionate about the project that you're working on, it wouldn't be worth it. And I already found out that I don't like working on other people's projects. I want to do my own shit, so I would probably hate it. I would probably come to hate game development. Well, what do you know? Time's almost up. actually starting to look like a comic. Amazing. I need to clean up my folders, otherwise I may be in trouble later. This playlist has me wondering if I should curate one again from Dova Syndrome. I'm embarrassed to say that I don't know the names of these songs for all of them. I don't think I could name any of them. Because I only listened to them once, right? When I was looking for songs, I would go up to Dova Syndrome and then I would just like select them. I filter them based on kind of calming music. And then I would listen to them. If I liked it, I would add it to the list. And I would never listen to them again after. So I wouldn't even be able to hum along to the background music even if I were to listen to it, because I don't know what it sounds like. But I do really like it, and it's very nice, I think, for, you know, when I'm very focused on drawing, when I'm just not speaking for a bit, to have at least something in the background, because I know from myself that I could go drawing for hours without speaking a single word, right? And then it's nice to just have a little background music. The only thing I worry about was that it would get too repetitive for the listener. So I have been adding more, but I don't think it's enough. I need more. Even more. Got some more lines here. There's supposed to be a zipper down the middle, but I forgot. Okay, that's it. It is almost time for me to eat, and I did a lot. I colored so many panels. Okay. I think this will motivate me to keep going next week. Indeed, so many panels. It was nice to just color. I was just coloring, you know, in the lines like a kid. Grab my crayons, my digital crayons, and just colored. It already looks so much more closer to being finished than before. Yeah, this is a huge motivator. So yeah, again next week, I guess. Unless I feel like doing something else, but I think I want to keep this momentum, and I want to keep drawing during my streams if I can. Switching to a game if necessary, like if I feel like it, like last time. But yes, I want to keep this up. I want to actually hit my goals. Same time, same place, exactly. See you next time. Yeah, thank you for joining me today. It was very nice. I hope you had a very chill time here. We chatted a lot. It was good. It was nice. My voice is done. And yeah, I'm gonna end it here, and then I'm gonna cry about, you know, going to office tomorrow. But I will be looking forward to next week. So thank you again for joining me today, and hopefully see you next time. Take care, everyone. Stay safe. And until next time, thank you.